Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language course. I'll be your instructor, Elena, and today we will start off with French alphabet. Let's have an introduction to French alphabet. Okay, so the French alphabet consists of 26 letters, just like the English alphabet. In French, vowels are called voyelles. What are our vowels? A, E, I, O, U, and Y. Let's repeat that again. A, E, I, O, U, and Y. The remaining 20 letters are consonants. It is called consonne in French. Notice how the word consonant is really similar to consonne. In French, there are a lot of words that sound really similar to English, so I think learning French is really easy for an English speaker, vocabulary sense. Okay, then let's talk about why is it important to know the alphabet. There might be instances in French where you have to spell your name or spell a word. Let's say you're at a public institution and you have to spell your name. How do you do that without knowing the alphabet? You cannot write. So that's why it's really important to know the alphabet. That's why for our first language lesson, I wanted to talk about how to spell, how to pronounce the letters in French. We're gonna see the letters in full action, and I'm gonna show you how to pronounce the letters, and then we're gonna look at some words that start with that correspondent letter. Okay, then let's see our alphabet. Just like we said, we have 26 letters. First of all, I'm gonna pronounce the letters one by one, and then after that, I will pronounce it again, and then I will give you a little time between each letter so you can repeat after me. Repetition is really important in French to make sure your pronunciation is getting better, because pronunciation is one of the most important things in learning French. Okay, then I will start reading the letters. Just try to listen carefully how I pronounce the letters. Okay, let's start. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, so this is how we pronounce the letters. Then I'm gonna pronounce one more, and I will give you a few seconds in between the letters so that you can repeat after me. Let's go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, good job, très bien. So you may realize some of the letters, they do sound similar to English, but some of them do not. Let's take Y for instance. It is Y in French, which doesn't sound similar, right? But at the same time, we have L, L, which sounds similar to English. But some of the letters, when we say them, like the letter L, we say them back of our throat. We use the back of our throat when pronouncing the letters. L. Put the tongue on the back of your mouth. L. L. Okay, now we're gonna see some words that start with each letter, and then we're gonna see how it's used in action. You don't really have to memorize these words, just so that you see how the letters are used and some examples that starts with each letter. Without further ado, let's get started. A, l'arbre, which means tree. B, le bateau, which means boat. C, le cadeau, which means gift. D, le dauphin, which means dolphin. Notice how similar they are. E, l'étoile, which means star. F, le fleur, flower. G, le garçon, the boy. H, la Hollande, Holland. The same. I, l'igloo, igloo. J, la jupe, skirt. K, le koala, koala. L, le livre, book. M, le mets, corn. It reminds me of corn maze. Even if it's not corn, that the word corn is not similar, it still reminds me of like corn maze. So it is also really similar, which is, I think, a trick to learn this word. N, le noir, black. O, l'orange, orange. P, le papillon, butterfly. Q, 4, 4. R, la rue, road. This letter is one of the letters that the people that started learning French, it's really difficult for them to pronounce, but with time, with practice, with repetition, it will get easier. S, le soleil, sun. T, la tête, head. U, l'usine, factory. V, la voiture, car. W, le wagon, the cart. X, le xénophobe, xenophobic. Y, les yeux, eyes. Z, le zodiac. Okay, this will be all for this lesson. Do not forget to repeat and then try to pronounce these letters one by one so that you have more practice and then you know how to pronounce them correctly. While you're at it, you can try to spell a word. You can try to spell your name. You can try to spell your friend's name. With that, you'll be doing a lot more practice and you'll make sure you know the letters by heart. Thanks for listening for this lesson. We will see you in the next lesson. Au bientôt. Bonne journée. Hello everyone. Welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language course. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about accents. In French, l'accent. Firstly, let's talk about what are accents. In French, some marks are placed on some letters. These signs are called accents. These accents change the pronunciation and meaning of the words. There are 5 different accents in French. Accents are really important because when you're writing down a word and you missed an accent, it's a spelling error. That's why it's really important to know which words use these accents and how are they pronounced. We have 5 different accents as we said, and then we're going to be talking about each of them in the upcoming slides. But first, let's see the types of accents. First of all, we have accent aigu. We have accent grave. We have accent circonflexe. We have accent tréma, and then we have accent cédé. Then let's start off with our first accent, which is the acute accent, accent aigu in French. First of all, let's see what is this acute accent. The accent aigu is placed above the E vowel and changes the sounds to A. The aigu points upwards and to the right. As you can see here, this is the accent aigu. It is very commonly used and an example, medicine. In English, in France, it will be médecin, médecin, meaning doctor. It comes at the end of words too. For example, in marché, which means market. The aigu accent is only used over the letter E. So we said it changed the sounds to A. But when we pronounce, there is not really a distinct A sound. It's just more of a type of feeling. Like when we say médecin, médecin, there is this slight Y sound there, but not really. And when it comes at the end of the words, for example, like we said in marché, we pronounce the letter. In French, when it's just a typical E, it's usually not pronounced right, but when if it's with acute accent, it is pronounced marché. Then let's see some examples with our acute accent. Le café. Coffee. It's not café, it is coffee. So when you say le café, it's going to be coffee. Le cinéma. Cinema. L'été. Summer. Notice how I pronounce the letters at the end. Le santé. Le santé. Here, when I pronounce, you can distinctly hear this A sound. Le santé, which means health. This is our acute accent. Let's move on to the next accent, which is going to be accent grave. This grave accent is also placed over the E, but can also be used over other vowels. It only changes the sound over the E, however. This accent points upwards towards the left, as you can see here, so it is the opposite of the accent aigu. It pronounced the E sounds. just like that in set or get. An example of this use of grave accent can be found in très, 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 which means very. Other examples will be le père, le père, le père, which means dad, la mère, which means mom. Our next accent is called accent circonflexe. It is called circumflex in English. This circumflex is a little pointed head that can sit on top of any of the vowels, which are a, e, I, O, and U. It looks like this, as you can see in this example as well. This accent has different functions. I found this accent really interesting because of this fact. It is used to show where another letter once existed in the Latin word the French word is derived from. For example, forêt, meaning forest from the Latin forestus. So when a word is derived from the Latin alphabet, it has this accent circumflex. It's really interesting, isn't it? And also the circumflex is used to distinguish one word from another that is spelled the same way but pronounced differently. An example would be sur, meaning on, versus sur, meaning sure. However, in some words, the circumflex has no known function. With accents, you will see that it is used a lot to distinguish words because some words that are spelled the same way, but then to differentiate them, to distinguish them, we use the accents, which will be seen in this example, sur and sur, which means on and sure. It doesn't really have a distinct difference, even with the pronunciation, but in writing and with context, it is easier to understand. The other examples will be la tête, which means head, le rêve, which means dream. Okay, then let's see our next accent, which will be accent tréma. Accent tréma is formed by two dots that are placed over the second of two consecutive vowels. It is used to show that the vowels are sounded separately. For example, it is used in coincidence, which in French it will sound like coincidence, coincidence. Our next and last accent is cédille. The cédula is a tiny tail under the letter C in French, and its function is to give the letter an S sound. This is really simple, so when we pronounce this, which is this letter, we pronounce as garçon, so we have the S sound. It is the French word for boy. Another word with cédille is français, 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 which means French. Notice how we put the cédille, when we put the cédille here, we pronounce, we give the letter the S sound. Français. It is important to put the accents in their proper places. A wrong or missing accent is a typo, is a spelling error, just like we said. Okay, then this will be it for our lesson for today. We talk about the accents, what are they for, the different types of accents, and we reviewed each of them, one by one. Thank you for listening to this lesson. I will see you in the next lesson. Au bientôt! Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language courses. For this lesson we're going to be seeing some greetings and how we meet people for the first time in French. So let's start. We're going to be reading a dialogue first. And then please try to take into consideration and try to listen carefully how I pronounce these words. Okay, I'll be starting. Bonjour, bonjour. Je m'appelle Pauline. Et toi? Je m'appelle Hugo. Enchanté, enchanté. Okay, let's go back to the dialogue and let's read it again. And this time I will give you a few seconds so that you can reply whatever I'm saying, okay? Bonjour. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Pauline. Et toi? Je m'appelle Pauline. Et toi? Je m'appelle Hugo. Enchanté. Enchanté. Okay, très bien, good job. Let's see the phrases in our dialogue. We start off with saying bonjour, right? Bonjour is the standard way of saying hello in French. But we also have salut. Salut. Salut is more of a hi, which we use between close friends or people that we know, that are people that are close to our age or people that are younger than us. So we will say the bonjour is a standard way that you can use with everyone. But with salut, it's more informal, so you can only use that with people that are close to you. Then for next we said je m'appelle. This person said je m'appelle Pauline, right? What is je m'appelle? Je m'appelle is my name is. You can put your name and then you can say your name. So repeat after me. For myself, I will say my name, but I will ask you your name and then you will have to reply to me with your name. Je m'appelle Alena. Et toi? Okay, you should have said je m'appelle blah blah, which your name is. Okay, good job. Je m'appelle is my name, we said. And then we said there is also et toi, which means and yours. Et means and, toi means you. Et means and, vous means yours. So what is the difference between toi and vous? So toi is the informal way of saying you. In a lot of languages there are informal you and there is formal you. In English we just say you. We don't really have a different word for that. But in French, if you want to be respectful, you use the formal version of you, which is vous. Et vous? So the people that you meet for the first time, you should be using vous. But if it's your friend, you can use et toi. So we also had some other phrase in the dialogue, which is enchanté. Enchanté means nice to meet you. But why? There is two E's in enchanté in this one and there is one here. So for females, we put another E. Why? We will later talk about why we have masculine or feminine for each word. For this lesson, just it's enough to only know that for females, when we write it down, we use two E's. So one with accent aigu and just normal E. Enchanté, enchanté. There is no difference in pronunciation. Then, how we say how are you in French? There are a lot of different ways to be saying how are you, but let's review two of them today. Comment ça va? Or for short, you can just say ça va. This is an informal way of asking how are you. So this is something you can use with your friends, like we said, the people that you know, the people around your age, the people that are younger than you, that you can speak informally to. Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Repeat after me. Comment ça va? Or for short, ça va? Let's see how to reply, how are you? So we said to ask how are you, we can say comment ça va, right? So to reply how are you, you can say ça va bien. It's going good. Notice how we pronounce this as an S. We learned this from our accents video. Do you remember? Ça va bien. And then we also have ça va mal. It's going bad. It's going badly. And then we have comme ci comme ça. So which is like 50-50, not good, not bad. This type of feeling. So these are the possible ways that you can say, you can reply the question, how are you? Ça va bien. Ça va mal. Comme ci comme ça. I hope today you guys are ça va bien. This will be the end of the video. Today we learned how to say your name, which was je m'appelle, and then we learned how to say how are you, we learned how to say bonjour, salut, and then we learned how to say nice to meet you, which is enchanté. I will see you on our next lesson. Au bientôt. Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language courses. In this lesson we're going to be continuing how to do the greetings and how we meet people for the first time in French, and this is going to be the part 2. Let's start with the formal way of saying how are you, which is comment allez-vous? If you remember, we said toi was the informal way of addressing someone in French, which means you, but if you want to make it formal, you use vous. In English, there is no difference between you, and there is no really an formal or informal version of you. We use you as a whole, but in a lot of different languages, which includes French, we have different words for the informal and the formal you. In this case, when you see vous, then you know this is a formal way of saying something. Comment allez-vous is how are you, but in a formal way, which you can use for your superiors, for your parents, for your friends' parents. When you're at a public institution, it's like it's someone that you haven't met for the first time. This is when you can use comment allez-vous. And then we have comment vas-tu? Two, you see the two, and then you know this is an informal way. Comment vas-tu is another way of asking how are you. Comment vas-tu? And we learned comment ça va in our first lesson, right? We said this is a informal way of saying how are you. Comment ça va, which for short we can say ça va. And when you reply ça va bien, would be an appropriate way of answering how are you, but in France, usually when you ask ça va, you can also say ça va. You can just repeat ça va. Okay, then let's go back, and then I will read these phrases one more, and then you will repeat after me, okay? Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous? Comment vas-tu? Comment vas-tu? Comment ça va? Ça va? Okay, let's see the difference between the pronunciation of comment allez-vous and comment vas-tu. So when we say comment allez-vous, we don't say comment allez-vous, right? We say comment allez-vous. It is called liaison in French. Liaison requires when two words are pronounced without a pause between the two and the second starts with a vowel. So just like you see, Comment allez-vous? When we say allez starts with a vowel, then we link these two. Liaison is a pronunciation of a linking consonant, which makes the pronunciation a bit better. Comment allez-vous? But when we say comment vas-tu, there is no vowel or silent H, so we just read it as it is. Comment vas-tu? Okay, so for these questions, how do we reply to them? To be formal, we can say ça va bien, merci. Et vous? Ça va bien, like we learned, means it's going good. Merci means thank you. And et vous? And you? Which is the formal way of saying you, right? Vous is our formal way of saying you. You can answer this question like that. Ça va bien, merci. Et vous? Okay, let's see an informal dialogue as well. I will read the dialogue first, then we can talk about it. Bonjour, comment vas-tu? Je vais bien. Et toi? Oh, sorry. So this is our informal dialogue. As you can see, we started off with saying bonjour. We could have said salut as well. Comment vas-tu? How are you? Je vais bien. Et toi? To answer comment vas-tu, you can say je vais bien. And et toi, as you can see, this is our informal way of saying you, which is toi. So let's review what we learned from the start. We learned how to say how are you in a formal way, right? Which will be comment allez-vous? And then we have this informal way of saying how are you, which is comment vas-tu? And we have comment ça va and ça va for short. And we learned about liaison, which we link these two letters. Comment allez-vous? How do we answer the formal way of asking how are you? We can say ça va bien, merci. Et vous? And for the informal dialogue, we've seen bonjour, comment vas-tu? Which is an informal way of asking how are you, and the person is answering je vais bien et toi. Comment vas-tu? Je vais bien et toi. Okay, this will be all for our lesson. Thanks again for listening. I will see you in our next video. Take care. A bientôt. Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language course. Today we're going to be looking at the different ways of saying hello and goodbye in French. Okay, let's start with bonjour. Just like we said, bonjour is a standard way of saying hello in French. You can use this with everyone. You can use this with your friends. You can use it with someone that is older, younger than you. You can use it at a formal place, at a public institution. You can use this to your teacher. Whoever you think of, you can just use bonjour. Then we have bonsoir. Bonsoir is good evening. Bon meaning good. Then we have soir, which means evening in French. So bonsoir. Repeat after me, please. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. Okay, good job. Then let's move on to bon après-midi. Bon après-midi. What does that mean? It means good afternoon. Bon après-midi. Bon meaning good. Après meaning after. Midi is the noon. So basically, good afternoon. Then we have bonne nuit. Bonne nuit. Just like we said, bon means good. Nuit in this sentence means night. But then, why do we have this? In French, with different nouns, every noun has a feminine or a masculine form. In our next lessons, we're going to be learning about that, how we form that, and what is the difference. But here you can see that we have to put bon. We pronounce the same. It's still pronounced bon, but because nuit is a feminine noun, we use this addition. Bonne nuit. You don't really have to know the details for now. Just know that bonne nuit means good night, but we're gonna learn about why is it used this way, why we have feminine and masculine forms in this next lessons. So, how do we ask someone's name? We know how to say our name, right? We know it is je m'appelle. But how do we ask the name? We can say comment tu t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? We have different ways of saying what is your name. This is the informal version of asking someone's name, and we can put this to the beginning, as you can see here, or we can put it at the back. So, comment t'appelles-tu? Repeat after me, please. Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? The both of them are correct, but we can just put it here or here. It doesn't really matter. The meaning is still the same. Then, if that was the informal way, how do we ask someone's name in a formal situation? Comment vous appelez-vous? As you can see, we have the vous here, which is or formal you. You can just see from this usage that it is formal because we have the vous. Comment vous appelez-vous? Comment vous appelez-vous? Repeat after me, please. Comment vous appelez-vous? Comment vous appelez-vous? Okay, so how do we say goodbye to people? We can say the basic form, which is used a lot, au revoir. We can say salut. Salut, just like we said, is hello, but it can also be used to say goodbye as well. Salut. We can say à bientôt. Have you noticed when I finish the lessons, I say à bientôt. À bientôt means goodbye, see you soon. À plus tard is also a different way of saying goodbye, but not that when you use à plus tard. When you are going to see the person, again, is not clear. It could be later in the same day or it could be farther in time. So it's not known when you see this person. Okay, so I'm gonna pronounce these words one more time and then you're gonna repeat after me, okay? Repetition is the key to learn French. Au revoir. Au revoir. Salut. Salut. À bientôt. À bientôt. À plus tard. À plus tard. And these are the ways of saying goodbye in French. Okay, in this lesson, we learned how to ask someone's name in a formal way, how to ask someone's name in an informal way. We learned how to say bonjour, which is hello, and we learned how to say good evening, good night, bonne nuit, and we learned how to say good afternoon. And we looked at the ways of saying goodbye. I hope when you listen to this lesson, you repeat after me, and then in your daily life, you try to repeat these sentences over and over so that you have a clear understanding of what they mean, or how they pronounce, or how do we use them in French. Thanks for listening to this lesson. I will see you in the next one. For now, à bientôt! Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language courses. Today on our lesson, we're gonna be learning about some French numbers. So, sitting at your favorite Parisian cafe and wanting to order a coffee, you want to understand when asking a price of something? If yes, this lesson will be very helpful for you. Memorizing French numbers can be tricky, mainly because the French have 5 irregular counting rules. If you want to learn French numbers, you just have to use a little mental math and a lot of repetition. Today, I'm going to be showing you the numbers from 0 to up until 70 because it is a really tricky subject, and to start off, I didn't want to teach you all of them at once, so just starting off with 0 to 70 will be enough to let you know about some numbers and how they work, and just getting started. Okay, let's start with chiffres, which is the numbers from 0 to 9. Firstly, I'm gonna read them, then I'm gonna give you some time so that you can read after me. I'm starting. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this time I'm gonna read slowly and I'm gonna give you a few seconds in between each number so that you can repeat after me. Let's go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Something that could help you learn the numbers, because this is all memorization, which can help is you can find some songs that are made with numbers. This is an easy way this is a good trick to learn the numbers. Also, you can have flashcard. One side is English and one side is French, and you can flip through them every day when you have the time, and then with time you will learn them quicker than if you were to just read them like normally. Okay, then just let's look the numbers after 9. So we have these numbers from 10 to 16, and they're irregular, so you have to just memorize them from 10 to 16. But after a while you will see, for example, let's take 17 is 17. So 10 is this and set is 7. So what you do is you put 10 and 7, then it becomes 17, which is an easier way to learn the numbers because they're regular. But from 10 to 16, they're irregular, so you have to memorize them. We have some more irregularity, but we will talk about them later in the slides. Let's start with 10. I will firstly pronounce them and read them so that you can see how they're pronounced. Let's start. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, this time I'm gonna give you a few seconds so that you can repeat after me. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So these are our numbers from 10 to 19. Then let's move on to our next slide. So for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70, etc., we have different words for each of them. So for 20, it is 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60. So these are the things that takes memorization, a little bit of mental math, but with time you'll be able to learn them. Let's see the numbers after 19. So let's review from 20 to 29. Here you will see it's so much easier because once you know the word for 20, you can just add the numbers from 1 to 9, which is easier. So let me read them first. 20, 21. Here, when you say 21, you put a, which is and. So it's 20 and 1. You do this only for 21. For the one with 1. So 31, 41 is also the same. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, now this time I'm gonna give you a few seconds so that you can repeat after me. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, good job. Then let's move on to the numbers after 21, which will be 30 to 39. So just like the other numbers, it's just you have to know the letter for the word for 30. Then after that, you can just add the other numbers. Okay, let me read it all out loud for you first. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay, this time I will give you a few seconds so that you can repeat after me. Let's go. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay, très bien, good job. Okay, let's move on to numbers after 39, which will be 40 to 49, which follows the same rule as you can see. For 40, we say 40, 40. I will firstly read it out loud for you. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. Okay, just as always, I will read it again and then I will give you a few seconds so that you can repeat after me. Repetition is the key to learn French. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. Okay, good job. Then let's move on to the numbers after 49, which is from 50 to 59. 50 is 50. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Okay, this time repeat after me. 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, vite. 59. Okay, très bien. Then let's move on to numbers after 59, which is from 60 to 69, which will be the last numbers we will be reviewing for today. For 60, we say 60. Let's start. 60. 61. 62. 63. 64. 65. 66. 67. 68. 69. Okay, this time repeat after me, please. 60. 61. 62. 63. 64. 65. 66. 67. 68. 69. Okay, très bien. So numbers in French can be a little tricky, but there is no way to learn them other than just memorizing. So with time, with work, with repetition, with practicing, it will get easier, and slowly it will get better. So do not try to learn from 0 to 1 million just from once, because it can be a little tricky and it can be a little confusing. Just give yourself some time. That's why in this lesson we are only reviewing from 0 to 70. Okay, want to review some examples. So how do we say 56? I will give you a few seconds so that you can think about it. So you have to put 50 and 6, right? It is 56. 50 is our word for 50. 6 is 6. Okay, one more. 32. How do we make it? The word for 30 and then plus 3, right? Do you remember? I will give you a few seconds. Okay, it's 33. 33. It is a little tricky to say, right? 33. It sounds similar. Okay, one more, the last one. 42. So, the word for 40 and then plus 2. We'll give you a few seconds so that you can think about it. It is 42. 42. Okay, good job. So in this lesson, we'll look at some chiffres. So we looked the numbers from 0 to 9, and then we reviewed from 9 to 69, and then we saw the 20, 30, 40, how they have different words for each of them, and then we looked at how we construct the numbers. So in this lesson, this is all. In other lessons, in our upcoming lessons, we're going to be learning about more of numbers. So we're going to learn from 69 to 1 million. But I think this is enough for now. Thank you for listening. I will see you in our next video. Au bientôt. Au plus tard. Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language courses. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about French personal pronouns, which is le pronom personnel in French. Okay, then let's start our lesson. In this photo, you can see the whole pronoun list. So, what are our personal pronouns in English? It is I, you, he, she, we, you, and they. So, what are the French versions of that? For I, it is je. For you, it is tu. For he, she, it is il and elle. Okay, then what is on? I will talk about that later on. Then we have we, nous. We have you, vous. Then we have they, il, elle. Why that are il and elle, and why are they different? So, if it's a group of males, it is il, so it's plural. If it's a group of women, it is elle. But what if there is a group of women of 5 and there is one male? Then what do we use? Do we use il or do we use elle? In this case, if a male is involved, we always use il. Doesn't matter how many women there are, if there is a male involved, then we always use il. If you remember, in our previous lessons, we learned the formal you and then we learned the informal you. We said the formal you is vous. And then we have the informal you, tu. It is important to know that we have two different pronouns for you, and then they are conjugated differently. In French, we conjugate the verbs according to the pronouns. As you can see in this list, this is the verb aller, which means to go. So as you can see, tu vas, it becomes tu vas, and vous, it becomes vous allez. So each of pronouns, they conjugate differently. That's why it is important to know the pronouns. And it is also important to know the order of the pronouns. Because when you see the conjugation list, it always follows the same order. So it is je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. Then let's talk about the difference between on and nous. I said we were going to be talking about on later on. So on also means we. It also means us. Then what is the difference between on and nous? On is conjugated differently than nous. On is singular, nous is plural. Je, tu, il, elle, on. Up until here, they're conjugated differently, so they're singular forms. But nous, vous, il, elle, they are conjugated plural. They're plural forms. Even if both of them means you, this one is singular you, this one is plural you. Also, this is formal and this is informal. Let me read the pronouns once more. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. Okay, then I'm gonna read one more, then you can repeat after me. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. Okay, good job. This is something you don't have to know now because we're not conjugating the verbs as of now, but just wanted to show you how the pronouns are used. As you can see, this order is the same. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle, right? Il, elle, and on, they're conjugated the same. Il and elle, they're also conjugated the same. But we're going to be learning about that later on. Right now, you don't really have to know the details. Just like we said, in French, personal pronouns, unlike English, the pattern that we use for both men and women is separated as il, elle, which is different for men and women. Now that we know the pronouns, let's look at some examples. Je suis docteur. I'm a doctor. Je is all personal pronoun. Suis is the verb to be conjugated. Docteur is doctor. Tu es barbier. You are a barber. Il est un enseignant. He is a teacher. It's a male, that's why we use il, and est is to be verb conjugated. And since it's a male, we use on. Il est un enseignant. Elle est ingénieure. She is an engineer. It's a female, that's why we use elle. Nous sommes soldats. We are soldiers. Ils sont étudiants. Ils ont étudiants. They are students. Elles sont policières. They are police officers. So let's review what we learned today. We looked at the pronouns, which are je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. And we said that it's important to know the order because when we see the conjugation list, it always follows the same pattern. It is je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, ils, elles. Okay, this will be all for our personal pronouns. Later, on different lessons, you will get to see them a lot more when we see the conjugation. But today, this will be enough. Thanks for listening. I will see you in our next video. Au bientôt! Hello everyone! Welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language courses. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at French ordinal numbers. After learning the numbers, I thought it would be an extra good lesson for you to learn. There are a lot of ordinal numbers, but we're going to be looking at from 1 to 10. Okay, first of all, let's see how we form these numbers. In French, we add em to the basic number to create this ordinal number. For example, 3 plus em is troisième, or which means third in English. 3 plus em makes third. So let's look at 10 ordinal numbers. The first one is première. Second is deuxième. Third is troisième. Fourth is quatrième. 5 is cinquième. 6 is sixième. 7 is septième. 8 is huitième. 9 is neuvième. 10 is dixième. Okay, I'm gonna read down one more and then I will give you a few seconds, then you can repeat after me. Répétez s'il vous plaît. Première. Deuxième. Troisième. Quatrième. Cinquième. Sixième. Septième. Huitième. Neuvième. Dixième. Okay, c'est bien. Good job. Then, let's see some examples using ordinal numbers. C'est ma première fois en France. That's my first time in France. We're going to be talking about why we have an E at the end of première. Elle est arrivée en première place. She arrived in first place. Mathieu est première de la classe. Matthew is first in class. I think looking at these examples, some of you may be understanding why here it's première and here it's première with an E. C'est la 5e fois qu'il m'a raconté cette histoire. That's the 5th time he's told me this story. 5e. premier, first is treated like an adjective. So, le premier jour de l'école. First day of school. Ma première voiture. First car. My first car. Le premier américain. First Americans. So, do you see why here is premier with an U, here without it, or he is plural? Because it takes different forms depending if the noun that is following feminine, masculine, or plural. So voiture is a feminine noun, so that's why we say première. Ma is also the female, but you will learn about that later on. Les premiers américains. American is a plural form, that's why the adjective we made it plural, and then also we put the plural article. Let's see here clearly. Premier with an O, U, depending on the name that comes after it, takes the feminine or masculine form. So when we say le premier janvier, 1st of January, it is a masculine noun, so that's why it takes the masculine form. And when we say mon premier chien, my first dog, dog is a masculine noun, that's why it still is in masculine form. Ma première fois is a feminine noun, that's why we take the feminine form of première, which means my first time. Also, I would like to add that there are some spelling changes in the 5th, 9th, and 10th. So we said to format, we take the number and we add em, right? But here it is cinquième. We also have this u. We also have this u, right? And when we say neuf and we put em, we have this v. And when we take this and we put em, the x becomes z. So it's dixième. So be careful with the spelling changes with these three. And also when the number ends with an e, it is omitted. So what does that mean? So quatre, em. When we add em, we take off the e. So it is quatrième. And onze, it ends with an e as well, so we take the e and then we add em, so it is onzième. And trente, same, ends with e, we take out the e and then we add em, so it becomes trentième. Okay, then let's read them one more and then you can repeat after me. Cinquième, neuvième, dixième, quatrième, onzième, trentième. Before we finish our lesson, let's look at them one more. It's première, deuxième, troisième, quatrième, cinquième, sixième, septième, huitième, neuvième, and lastly, dixième. Dixième. Last but not least, there are a few more ways to write these numbers. So, let's take into consideration this deuxième. When it's in the written form, you can also write them like that. When you're saying the word, it is always deuxième. But when you're writing, there are 4 different ways of writing that. You can add e, you can add m, you can add this sign, or also a small e can be added. Just as something you can take into consideration. When you're writing, you don't really have to write deuxième. And when you want to write it, you can just put the number and then you can add these. Okay, in this lesson we learned about French ordinal numbers, how we form the ordinal numbers from 1 to 9, from 10, or ordinal numbers in French, and we've seen some examples, also seen some irregularities about French ordinal numbers. I hope you liked this lessons. I will see you in our next one. Thank you for listening. Bonne journée. Hello everyone, welcome to Sharpen Academy's French language courses. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about article défini, which is where we're going to be learning the difference between the feminine, masculine, and the plural forms of the nouns. So this lesson is really important, so please pay extra attention. Okay, let's start now. So, why are we talking about countries in this lesson as well? We're going to be saying why in the slides later on. But first, let's see the types of articles définis in French. So we have 4 different articles, defined articles in French, and those are la, le, et l'apostrophe, les. La is the feminine article. Le is the masculine article. Et l'apostrophe is for the nouns that start with vowels and the silent H. And then we have les. We use this one for the plural nouns. Okay, so let's start with the feminine article, la. La Turquie. So what does that mean? Turkey is a feminine noun. If we have the la in front of it, that means Turkey is the feminine noun. La Chine. So that means China is also a feminine noun. That's why we have la in front of it. There is no rhyme or reason as to why these nouns, they're masculine or feminine or plural. It's just a rule that we have, but there are few hints that make learning these feminine and masculine nouns easier, so we're going to be sharing them with you later on. So let's see the masculine nouns. Le Vietnam, le Portugal. So that means Vietnam and Portuguese, they're both masculine forms. We have l'apostrophe Allemagne, l'Allemagne, l'Argentine. So these are starting with vowels. That's why we use l'apostrophe. And we have les Maldives. Maldives, they are, even when we say it in English, it was with a S sound, right? So it is plural. That's why we use les, the plural form. Les États-Unis, the United States of America. It's United States, and that's why it is plural. So we use the plural article, les. Okay, let's review again. In article, defined articles, we have la, le, et l'apostrophe. Apostrophe is the sign right there. Les. So, l'article défini is la, le, et l'apostrophe, les. Okay, then, let's see a few more examples. So, la France. France is also a feminine noun, so la France. Le Canada, le Canada, le Canada. Canada is also a masculine noun. So we say le Canada. And for apostrophe, we have l'Italie. L'Italie. Starts with a vowel, that's why we have this L apostrophe. L'Iran. That's why we have the L apostrophe. So for les, we can also say le Philippines. Le Philippines, which is a plural noun. Okay, let's review article defined again. L'article défini. In French, nouns are divided into masculine, feminine, and their plural form les, and accordingly, they take an article at the beginning of the noun. For example, table, which is table in English, is a feminine noun, so it gets its article la. Or livre, book, which is book in English, is a masculine noun, and it gets its article le. Now, let's examine these articles in details. So we said le is masculine singular, la feminine singular, les is masculine and feminine plural, which is plural. If the person that we're talking to knows exactly which object or objects we're talking about, le, la, les is used. So, I want the bag. When I say I want the bag, the other person knows which bag we're talking about. Je veux le sac. So we can just say that this article le, la, les is actually really similar to the in English. I want the bag. I'm not saying I want one bag. I'm saying I want the bag. So there is a bag in particular we're talking about. When it's defined, just like in the name, l'article défini, it is a defined article. That's when we use le, la, les. So when it's defined. We also see the countries. We learned countries and article, l'article défini together because there's a hint. Country names ending in ö are feminine. Those without ö are masculine. So Turkey ends with an ö, right? That's why it is a feminine noun. Canada, it doesn't end with an ö, right? So it is without an ö. So that's why it is masculine. So let's go back to our country list again. So here you can see that all of them, they end with ö. This is a rule that we have, which is a good thing to remember. If the countries, they end with ö, they're feminine. La France, la Bulgarie, la Suisse, la Turquie. And without them, they're masculine. Le Brésil, le Canada, le Liban. So, in this lesson, we learned the definite articles, which in French, l'article défini, and then we looked at different forms of nouns, which is feminine, masculine, and plural, and we learned a trick about when a noun, that is a country, ends with an ö, it is a feminine noun. If not, it is a masculine noun. In our next lesson, we're going to be learning about indefini, so we can learn more about the difference between the defini and indefini as well. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in our next video. A bientôt! Hello everyone, welcome to Hazarfen Academy's French language course. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about l'article indéfini. In our other lesson, we learned about l'article défini, but today we're going to be looking at indéfini, and we're going to be seeing the difference between those two. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. In French, the indefinite articles article indéfini are un, masculine singular, une, feminine singular, and des, plural for both genders. Let's repeat them again. Un, masculine singular, une, feminine singular, and des, plural for both genders. We use these infinite articles in the following cases. So when we're talking about something that is non-specified, so it is non-specific. What an example would be: Lena est une copine de Lara. Lena is a friend of Lara. So she is one of many, but she is not specified, right? So that's why in this case we use the indefinite article. Copine, copine is a feminine noun. That's why we use the feminine singular article here. Une copine. Elle achète une salade. So, when we're saying that, we don't really specify which lettuce. We don't really know anything about the salad because it's not specified. That's why we use the indefinite article. Salade is a feminine noun. That's why we use une, feminine singular. Il aimerait des tomates. So, when we're saying that, when we say he loves these tomatoes, we don't really know which particle tomatoes, or we don't really know how many tomatoes there are. So that's when we use this indefinite articles. The thing they have in common is that they all talk about something that is non-specified. Tomato in this case is plural, so that's why we use des tomates. Okay, one more example will be the indefinite article is used to refer to objects, people, and events which have not been clearly defined by the speaker or the context. The indefinite article is frequently used after verbs expressing consumption. For an example would be, Donnez-moi un café, s'il vous plaît. Give me a coffee, please. See, café is a feminine noun, is a masculine noun. That's why we use un, masculine singular noun, but we're expressing a consumption, right? That's when we use the indefinite article. So let's review the article indefinite again. So we have un, masculine singular, we have une, we have feminine singular, and we have des, which is masculine and feminine plural. So I will read them and you please repeat after me so that you have a clear understanding on how it is pronounced. Un, une, des. Okay, good job. Then let's see an example which will help us distinguish between indéfini and défini. So, je vois un chien dans les rues. I see a dog in the street. And then we have je vois le chien de Monsieur Tony dans les rues. I see Monsieur Tony's dog in the street. So in the first example, we use the indefinite article which is un. Chien is a masculine noun, so that's why we use un chien. We use the indefinite article because we don't know who the dog belongs to. We just say, oh, I see a dog in the street. It's just a dog that is not specified. We don't know who the dog belongs to. We don't know who this dog is. It's just a dog. But in the other example, in the second one, when we say je vois le chien de Monsieur Tony dans les rues, we say I see Monsieur Tony's dog in the street. We use this definite article, le chien, because we know that the dog belongs to Monsieur Tony. So it is specified, so it is defined in this case. So that is the difference between article indéfini and article indéfini. Let's see a few more examples. There's a fly in my soup. Il y a une mouche dans ma soupe. So mouche is a feminine noun, that's why we put une in the beginning. Il y a une mouche. We don't know which type of fly it is. It's not specified. It's not defined. That's why we use indéfini. I've got a good idea. J'ai une bonne idée. Bonne idée. When we're talking about ideas, thoughts, we usually use l'article indéfini. So in this case, we also use l'article indéfini. There are some people in the street. Il y a des gens dans les rues. We don't know who these people are. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they do there. So it's just not specified. We're just talking about some people that we happen to see in the street. So when we're talking about people that are not specified, we use l'article indéfini. So in this case, we use the plural form, which is de, because there are more than one people. There is some coffee. Il y a du café. So in this case, also you can tell that it is not specified, and that's why we use the indefinite article, which is du. So, in this lesson, we learned about what is indefinite articles and what is the difference between the indefinite and the definite articles. This will be something that you will get used to with time because there is no really rhyme or reason why we have feminine or masculine forms. What is the certain rule to distinguish between masculine and feminine, because there is no rules. So with time and with practice, you'll be able to learn them a lot easier. Thanks for listening to this lesson. I will see you in our next lesson. Bonne journée. Au bientôt.